Yes guys, welcome back to another Fancy Football Fix YouTube video. My name is FPL Nacho, and in this video we are going to be looking at the top transfers going into game week 23. So big performances from Man City and Liverpool, and we need to make sure we are buying the right attacking assets. And in this video we are going to come to that conclusion. So as always, if you are new around here, please do consider smashing that subscribe button, and as always, make sure you do drop a like on the video. Aim for 300. I know you guys can do that. So without further ado, let's get into today's video. So first up, we need to talk about these City forwards. For those that don't know, Haaland made his highly anticipated return to the Premier League in game week 22 against Burnley, playing around 20 minutes off the bench. Didn't really get many opportunities for a goal to reward those that went early on him, but it does mean that he is officially back on the radar for FPL managers. And a lot of people have had Julian Alvarez in the absence of Haaland and gobbled up all of those points that he did score in game week 22. So the big question is, do we buy Haaland? And if you're a Julian Alvarez owner, do you sell him for Haaland? So first up, let's take a look at the underlying numbers. There's no surprises whatsoever that Haaland leads the way in the comparison between the two. 1.04 XG per 90 is just ridiculous for Haaland, comparing that to Alvarez's 0.42. And when we had the discussion about whether Haaland will return to the Man City team because of Alvarez's recent performances, I think we need to remember this is one of the best forwards, not only in the league, but in the world. And we've seen recent Pep quotes state that they are a better team with Haaland in it. Does that mean that Haaland's going to play 90 minutes week in, week out? No, I don't think that is the case. And he could easily be benched for game week 23 and slowly integrated back into this Man City team. But I think Pep is going to get Haaland back into the team as soon as possible, whether that be 30 minutes off the bench in game week 23 with the intention of a start in game week 24. Unfortunately, we're not going to know that answer, but I think the time is coming for Haaland to be starting week in, week out for those teams. So I think it's quite simple right now. If you have Julian Alvarez, I think you could easily, if you wanted to, own him for one more game week and then look to sell him to Haaland in game week 24. Now, looking at the Fantasy Football Fix transfer analytics, it is worth noting that everybody who owns Julian Alvarez is selling him to Haaland. 99% of transfers out for Alvarez are going directly to Haaland. So just note that a lot of the community are doing that move going into this weekend. If it was me and it was a free transfer and you were really worried about Haaland, get it done knowing that you have him long term. But looking at the fixtures coming up, Brentford away, which is obviously on the weekend, and then they have an amazing home fixture against Everton in game week 24, followed by the double. You need Haaland. I think getting him in for game week 24 is the route that I would personally go for, and have one more game week of Julian Alvarez. I definitely wouldn't be selling Alvarez to Haaland for a points hit. And in terms of captaincy, yes, I think Haaland is a great option, but if you have the assumption that he only plays 30 minutes, I think there are some other viable options out there. And taking a look at the projected points for the next 4 game weeks, you can see Haaland is right up there as the top pick at 31.6 predicted points, comparing that to Julian Alvarez's 24.2. So let me know what your plans are in the comment section. I'll be really interested to know. I'm a Haaland owner that went in game week 22, and I'm kind of glad I already own him, because if I own Julian Alvarez, I think it would be a really, really tough decision that I think I would end up keeping him for one more week. So that's the coverage on Man City attackers. Next up, we need to talk about this Liverpool attack and the announcement of this game week 25 double that we haven't had yet. So the two players that you obviously need to consider right now is going to be Diogo Jota and Darwin Núñez. Anybody that watched that game against Chelsea will know, first and foremost, Liverpool are one of the best attacks in the league. And secondly, Darwin Núñez is waiting for a 25-point haul. It is coming, hitting the post 4 times, a missed penalty. He had the lot. He is one of the most exciting FPL players that you can own, but equally one of the most frustrating. Now, first up, I want to talk about the fixtures coming up, because I've only looked at the next 3, which include game week 23 away against Arsenal, game week 24 at home against Burnley, and game week 25 away against Brentford. Now, of course, in game week 26, Liverpool blank, but the assumption within the FPL community is that we are going to get a double game week 25 announcement, with the game that was originally meant to be in game week 26 at home against Luton put into game week 25, essentially giving Liverpool a double of Brentford away and Luton at home. And when we look at those fixtures, if that was to be announced, Arsenal away, not the best entry point for Liverpool attackers, but then Burnley and a double makes it very difficult to ignore the attackers if you don't own any already. So taking a look at the two, obviously Jota being a midfielder in the game, Darwin Núñez being a forward. Núñez's underlying numbers are right up there alongside Erling Haaland's. He is that good in that department. 0.86 XG per 90. Comparing that to Diego Jota's 0.49 is totally expected because Darwin is just a big chance monster. And you can see that with the numbers. 1.73 big chances per 90 for Darwin, 0.54 for Diego Jota. And even in the expected assists, Darwin Núñez leads the way. He has everything that you want as an FPL option. Unfortunately, his finishing does leave a little bit to be desired. The best thing about Darwin Núñez as well, he is 7.5 million, slightly cheaper than Diego Jota. And looking at the projected points for the next three, he does lead the way at 12.7. But of course, if we get the inclusion of the Luton game in game week 25, that is going to really elevate the projected points for both of these players. So the big question is, first and foremost, which one would I prioritise? Well, it's very difficult to answer that because, of course, it depends on your team whether you need a midfield transfer or a forward transfer. Taking my team as an example, I currently have a front three of Erling Haaland, Solanke and Watkins. And looking at game week 23 in isolation, all three of those have fantastic fixtures. And looking to buy a Liverpool attacker with an away game against Arsenal just doesn't really sit right well with me. So I think if you don't own a Liverpool attacker right now, actually avoiding them for game week 23 would be my advice. And if you could roll the transfer, that would be a really favourable position. Because you'll come into game week 24 inevitably wanting at least one Liverpool attacker at home against Burnley. And you may get the luxury as well of knowing whether double game week 25 is happening. And if that is the case, having 2 free transfers and an easy entry point to 1 or 2 Liverpool attackers is the direction I think I would advise. So for me, Solanke to Darwin Núñez is a brilliant move in game week 24 if you're in a similar situation to myself. And I think a lot of teams are going to end up with a front three of Watkins, Solanke and Haaland come game week 23. So to conclude, Liverpool need to be on your radar. I don't think they're essential for game week 23 playing away against Arsenal. But if this double gets announced, I think you need at least one attacker. And my preference, even though he misses a hatful of chances, would be Darwin Núñez. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I would love to have both, but I think I'll be falling on Darwin Núñez and avoiding Diego Jota, even though he is a fantastic option. And for those asking about the update on Mo Salah, all we know right now is that Klopp has ruled him out for the Arsenal game, and it sounds like he could be out for game week 24 at home against Burnley. My advice is to plan without Mo Salah as an option, and when we get concrete evidence whether he is available, then we start to restructure our teams. But for me, I think he is not on my radar until maybe game week 30 with an impending blank in game week 29. So last up, we need to talk about 2 forwards that have to be on our radar with potential doubles in game week 25, and one of them is a potential option for my team as well. So the 2 forwards that we need to discuss right now is going to be Luton's Adebayo and Brentford's Ivan Toney. Now, Adebayo has been a player that I don't think anybody has considered an FPL, but he's been quietly going about his business and really stepped onto the scene in game week 22 with a hat-trick against Brighton. I first want to look at him in isolation because, very similar to Liverpool, he is a player that could get a double game week in 25. Now, a reminder, Liverpool-Luton was meant to be in game week 26. It is now a blank and it could be moved into game week 25. And if that was the case, the fixtures would be Newcastle away, Sheffield United at home, and then a double of Man United at home, Liverpool away. Not a good double at all, but when he's 4.8 million and you're getting yourself a player who has a brilliant game week 24 fixture and also a double, I don't think you can really complain about it at all. When we take a look at the numbers, I was really shocked to see how good they were. 0.43 XG per 90. Yes, the expected assists isn't high, but I always talk about it. Players like Callum Wilson, players like Darwin Núñez, for example, if they are playing as a forward, I don't really care about the expected assists. If the XG is high, it means that a lot of the chances do funnel through this player. And sometimes it is a good thing because all they're in the team for is to score big chances. And 0.83 big chances per 90 is actually really decent, especially in a team like Luton who are fighting relegation right now. We can't compare him to the likes of Darwin Núñez and Erling Haaland, who play in some of the best teams, not only in the league, but in the world. So I'm pleasantly surprised at the numbers that I'm looking at with Adebayo. And while I think it's quite a luxury move, I think if you're looking to free up funds, maybe to bring in an Erling Haaland into your team, I don't think you can go too far wrong with Adebayo, but I think it will be quite dependent on him doubling in game week 25, because of course he will definitely blank in game week 26. But at 4.8 million, a very easy player for you to simply put on your bench each and every game week once we get past double game week 25. Now take a look at Ivan Toney. I don't really need to talk too much about Ivan Toney. We know what an amazing FPL option he is, and he's hit the ground running since he's come back from this ban. Obviously got his free kick goal in game week 21 and a goal and an assist in game week 22. Ivan Toney, one of the few forwards outside of the top 4, top 6 teams that I can kind of see him scoring in any single fixture, home or away. And look at the games coming up. They're tricky to say the least. Man City at home, Wolves away, and a double in game week 25. But importantly, Brentford are one of the few teams that will play in game week 26, double in game week 25, and also a guaranteed game in game week 29. That is going to be a huge blank in game week 29. So if you don't plan on free hitting, Ivan Toney is such a fantastic player to own long term over this period. Now, I don't think a lot of people are going to go for Ivan Toney right now because all eyes are on Erling Haaland. And I don't think the entry point is amazing, even though I do expect them to score against this Man City defence. It's a luxury move, but if you do bring in Ivan Toney, I think you keeping for him for 8 game weeks. Honestly think you'll have to keep him that long because you're never going to want to sell him because he always has either a great fixture or plays when other teams are blanking. So 0.8 XG so far since his return, amazing. 0.2, big chances. He is just an incredible FPL option. For my team, I don't think I'm going to be looking to bring him in until game week 26. My strategy right now is to bring in Darwin Núñez in game week 24 for Burnley at home and hopefully a double game week in 25. And then when Liverpool blank in game week 26, sell Darwin Núñez for Ivan Toney for his decent fixture run beyond that. So that's my plan with Ivan Toney. Game week 26, he is on my radar. But I honestly think if you want to move early, he is a brilliant player. So last up, we need to look at some potential captaincy options for game week 23. So let's take a look at the predicted points for the top players this weekend. So, of course, all of these predicted points are taken from Fantasy Football Fix. Make sure you do check it out. Link is in the bio. We have the top 10 players here, and no surprises, Erling Haaland is back top of the tree with 5.8 predicted points. Now, of course, we need to take this with a pinch of salt. Some people think that he will start away against Brentford. Others think that he will play limited minutes. You need to make that judgment based on your own assumptions. But we are taking into account here that he does play some significant minutes, around 65, 70 minutes. And based on that, he's one of the best captaincy options in the game. Kind of justifies if you do want to sell Julian Alvarez for Erling Haaland. But I do want to draw your attention to Julian Alvarez being 8th on that list at 4.6 predicted points. He is still a fantastic option and kind of why I think you can avoid Haaland for one more game week and look to bring him in for that brilliant home fixture against Everton in game week 24. Outside of the Man City pair, we've got Watkins at 5.3, away against Sheffield United. Now, a very unpredictable team to play against, but I do think Aston Villa have the tools available to score goals, and Watkins, of course, being such a consistent performer, I really do like him as an alternative captain if you don't want to go with the Man City players. Gordon at 5.2 as well. Really interesting because with the injuries to Isak and Callum Wilson, we may see him play as a forward. Some may think that that is better for him. Others think that he plays better off the left. Regardless, he should be in and amongst the chances, and Newcastle looked revitalised with a break, a much needed rest. We might see the best of Newcastle now over a favourable fixture period. So Gordon is a brilliant differential captain if you want to go there. Other names, Trippier at 5.2, came up with the assist in game week 22, back on our radar. Solanke is one that I'm eyeing up at home against Nottingham Forest. I really do like him at 5.1. And Fabian Schär, 4.7 predicted points. No, he isn't going to score a brace every game week, but I don't mind him if you want to go there, but I much prefer the attackers and Trippier ahead of him. Down the list, Bukayo Saka, 4.6, but I don't feel too comfortable captaining somebody against Liverpool. So that is the predicted points and the best captaincy picks for game week 23. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And as always, if you do have any questions about certain players' predicted points, we will try and answer them in the comment section taken from the Fantasy Football Fix site. That just leaves me to say thank you so much for tuning in today's video. If you did enjoy it, please do consider dropping a like and smashing that subscribe button. And we will see you in the next video. Take care. Cheers.